And being a person that comes from a political science background, I had prepared a presentation in my head which was going to focus on ideological relevance in leadership grooming. And this is primarily because I've been exposed to issues that are more political than issues that are financial. So because of that, when comrades presented the projects that they are doing, it made me to feel challenged that, there are some who are taking the aspect of national liberation to another further step. It is no longer about slogans. It is no longer about reciting history, but it is about utilizing history as a medium to control the economy. And for me, I think that is very important. It expresses the extent to which your institution is producing leaders who are able to extract the value of theory into things that are practical. And for that, I want you to clap hands for yourself. Because what you are doing is creating a sustainable pathway for Zimbabwe's growth. And while at that, as I was also making my notes, because I said I would not want to come with a write-up and read something. I wanted something that was going to gel into your hearts, gel into your minds, so that at the end of the day we have a conversation rather than we would have a presentation, rather than would have a speech. So, I also couldn't resist the urge to be political, because coincidentally today you people hosted this event while the world is commemorating the 48th anniversary of the killing of Steve Bantu Biko of South Africa. For those of you who follow history, you remember that Steve Bantu Biko of South Africa was the founder of the Black Consciousness Movement. In the same way, Steve Bantu Biko was the founder of the Southern African Students Organization, which is still there to this day. So it means that today you are evoking the memory of a great African leader. And it's quite interesting that as you are celebrating issues of financial literacy, you are going back to the very values that made Steve Bantu Biko to want to fight against oppression, the apartheid oppression of his time. Today, as you speak financial literacy, you are knocking right on the grave of Robert Gabriel Mugabe, whom we lost on the 6th of September in 2019. And he is the guy who taught us that beyond the acquisition of political independence, it is also possible for Africa to assume economic independence. We see that Africa is still entrapped in the vestiges of colonialism that still make African nations, African people, to be marginalized in terms of controlling their economy. It is encouraging, therefore, when we have students from Harare Poly beginning to live the dream of Steve Bantu Biko, beginning to live the dream of Robert Mugabe at Fort Hare College. It's also quite interesting that today you people resurrect even the ghost of Joshua Nyongolo Mkabugo Nkomo, who in one of his speeches he has taught us that if you want money, you should till the land. And he actually put it in Ndebele and said, "Nxa ufuna imali, pendulela ibala elithi lima." Because the Ndebele equivalent of money, when the spelling or when the tautology is reversed, it gives you money. So in other words, Nkomo taught us that particular aspect. And what you people are doing today, I was reading the project by our comrade, I forgot the name, but you can see that there's this eloquent projection of ideas. You listen to the submission around the e-health perspective that my good comrade was speaking about. And I was wondering if the late Samuel Parenyato was in the room, was he not going to be happy that the reason of his death, he has produced young men like him, who today are not thinking of medicine in terms of the training that Samuel Parenyato had, but is now thinking of how data can be converted to save lives. This is the innovation that represents those values of certain people who gave their lives. It is quite interesting that today we have a hospital that is named after Samuel Parenyato, that great medical genius of our time. And we have got a comrade today who is saying, yes, we have got hospitals. Yes, the government has done all these monumental developments in terms of the hardware of the health policy implementation. But he's saying today we can think in terms of transforming the health space through the phone. This is an innovation that you will never find, even from the most sophisticated schools of medicine, but you find that here at Harare Polytechnical College. Is that not expressive of how even the Second Republic has created vistas and a new horizon of making students begin to imagine? And when you look at the aspect of Education 5.0, which was a template of President Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa's vision of giving a pragmatic expression to education that goes beyond the theory, it is delighting that today you have got young men and women who are producing innovations that even our old school of medicine has not done. So I think this is very great. But to add to that greatness, it is also interesting that you see this innovation coming from students who belong to a progressive union of students, which is Zicosu. So it means that Zicosu is the hub of producing leaders of this nation. Because from the collective presentations that were made, you could see various branches of innovation that are coming out. And when these people were speaking, I was seeing future engineers, I was seeing, not future engineers, I was seeing engineers of the moment. I was seeing architects of the moment. I was seeing health practitioners of the moment. Because many a times as students, we think that education is grooming us for the future. But today you people have demonstrated that you are not leaders of the future, but you are the leaders of now. It means that you do not actually have the prerogative to complain about the problems that Zimbabwe is facing now. Your mandate is to be at the center of solving the problems that Zimbabwe is facing now. So, when you come out of this platform, the question that you should be asking yourself is, what is it that I can do for my country than what my country can do for me? And your projects are expressive of that. And I want to congratulate you. Coming back to Steve Biko, coming Robert Mugabe, remember We are celebrating the death of Robert Mugabe on the 6th of September. It happened in 2019. And then with Steve Bantu Biko, today marks 48 years of his murder in the hands of white oppression. When you look at these people, and the man whose birthday will be celebrating on Monday, when you look at these people, Robert Mugabe was a student in a prison cell and in detention for how many years? 11 years. The gentleman whose birthday will be celebrating on Monday, President Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, also another student of the cell. But what is most particular about this guy is that he was actually destined for being executed, and it was age that saved him. So their classroom was the prison cell. Their classroom was the oppression that they faced in the jail yards. And their teachers were the prison superintendents. And it was their prison sacrifices, particularly the prison sacrifice, that led to the loss of the life of Steve Bantu Biko, which gave you the freedom not to be in the classroom that they endured in Wawa, that they endured in Kami prison. Today, your classroom is a classroom of innovation, and for that, I believe we ought to honor them. This is because they gave their lives, and we should take a leaf from their lives to say this is what they did, and perhaps what can we do more. This is why I want to argue that I'm inspired by the submissions that you have made, and I hope that when we combine all these innovations that you people have, we will be able to give a practical impetus to the clarion call yekuti nyika inowakwa nevene vayo, yekuti ini newe tine basa, yekuti ini newe nyika yedu yeZimbabwe ndimo matakazvarirwa, ana mai nana baba ndimo mavari. Tinoda Zimbabwe neupfumi hwayo hwese. Simuka Zimbabwe, pamberi neZimbabwe, pasi nevasingade kushandira Zimbabwe. I thank you all for lending me your ears, comrades and friends.